The Dice Tower is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. And by Cool Stuff Inc. Cool Stuff, in stock at CoolStuffInc.com. The Dice Tower, episode 577.
Essen 2018.
Anticipation, shun, shun, shun. Welcome to the Dice Tower, a podcast about board games and card games, and especially the people who play them. On today's show, all four of us are getting ready for the Spiele Fair in Essen. Suzanne and Mandy share some of their lessons learned from their first excursion last year. We all check in with our lists from last year and see what we think of those games now. And we finish up with our top 10 games we're looking forward to at Essen 2018. I'm Eric Summerer, and here's your host, the Shiro to our Keith, Pidge, and Allura, Tom Vassell.
Whew. All right, folks. Welcome to the show. I have no idea what Eric just said. Should I have
You
done
don't?
that?
What? Voltron reference.
Eric, I totally gotcha.
Yeah. That Pidge guy. Yeah. Okay,
Not
now
Pidge
I
guy,
recognize
Pidge
it.
girl.
And you call yourself a fan.
Oh my goodness.
I don't call myself a fan. I find it entertaining, and that was it. I only watched like the first 3 episodes.
Well, then you missed that little reveal. Anyway.
That would explain then why I said that. I feel better now. I just
Yes.
thought I was dumb.
Yes.
Okay. Folks,
Anyway.
welcome to the show.
Look who's with us. We're all together.
Yay!
I'm Tom Vassell.
Hi, I'm Eric Summerer.
I'm Suzanne Sheldon.
And I'm Mandy Hutchinson.
And we're doing our second annual Prepare for Essen, or is this our third? It's
This is our second.
The second time
This
that
is
we've
our
done
second.
this. So, folks, we're going to be at the Essen Spiele Fair 2018. We'll have a booth there. Our booth is in Hall 4, which I believe is a renumbering of Hall 6 from last year. I think we're in the same hall. I'm
Wait,
not
they
sure.
changed the numbers?
They renumbered?
Oh.
As far as I could tell, yes, they've renumbered. Hopefully the numbers are more in numerical order this time. I'm not sure. But someone's making a map on Board Game Geek. I will have that map as soon as it's finished. I'm definitely subscribed to that thread and watching it like a hawk. But we're there in G106. So please come by and stop by our booth. We'd love to see you. We will be there the entire time. We're going to be making a page, which hopefully by the time this show airs is live on our website, so you can go check dicetower.com, where we'll show which of us will be at the booth at what time, so you can know when to go. A lot of people ask about our live show that we're doing at the convention. That's going to be at Friday at 5 o'clock. If you want a ticket to that, you need to come by the booth on Friday, not Thursday, and not until the show opens. And then we'll give out the tickets. They're free. We just want to make sure everyone has a chance to come and to our show. And that's pretty much it. There'll be a couple other things. I'm going to be swinging by a few booths and playing games at a few places. I'll be by Forbidden Games booth playing Raccoon Tycoon, Plan B booth for the Camel Up tournament, and the Colossal Matago booth. And so we'll be checking out those booths, and I'll be all over the place. So if you see us, as always, say hello to us. Are you guys excited? This is a very rhetorical question. I don't know why I bothered to ask it, but I'll ask it anyway.
I'm excited.
I'm more excited now having experienced it last year. Now there's less trepidation or nervousness about the unknown. Now I feel like I have a plan of attack, and I have a sense of what's going to happen, and now I can really focus on making sure I maximize how much space I take up in the booth with all the games that we buy.
Listen, my list is small.
Well-
I don't know about yours. Mine is small.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I think Essen it's very overwhelming the first time you go. I think more overwhelming than any other convention, even Gen Con. Especially maybe for an American, because not only are you dealing with, it's a humongous, convention, but not everything's in English. You're not really quite sure what's where. It can be overwhelming. But once you're there, it's kind of like anything, like college. This is your sophomore year. You guys are ready
Exactly.
now.
Right. I like that.
But with that being said, I want to go back into the past. So last year we did this exact same show, and we did our top 10 anticipated games of Essen. And I want to go through those lists and see what we think about those games now. Are you ready? Eric, you're going to be first. All right?
Oh, am I? Good. Okay.
Well, because I know you're the most prepared.
Sure.
Or least prepared. I don't care. Here we go. So your number 10 was Power Ships. Yes or no?
Wait. I never got to play it.
No.
You never played it?
Nope. I didn't pick it up, and so it never got played.
What, was it even there?
You know, I recall it not being there. Like, I went to the booth,
Yeah,
and
I'm
they
starting
did
to
not
think
have it
that.
for sale.
Okay. How about, so your number 9 was Pulsar 2849.
I like that one a lot, and I still have it in the collection.
All right. Charterstone.
Charterstone, never played.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Untold. Adventures Await.
Untold Adventures Await, my kids really like.
Was that even there? I think. I played that, like,
They
this
had it,
year.
I think, to show, and I had to get a copy later. I didn't
Got
go
it.
home with that one.
All right. What about this one? It says Finished. There was a game called Finished?
Yes, it was the solo game from Freedom and Free, so I like that one a lot.
All right. Noria.
Noria, I also enjoyed. That's Sophia Wagner. I think it was her first design, and she's got a new one coming out this year.
Yes, she does.
Flea.
Flea is still my favorite of the Fast Forward series, so yes.
That's not very good. All right. Coaster Park.
Coaster Park, I have not played, but I got such bad reviews about the physics of the whole thing that I ended up just sort of knocking it off the list.
The Unlock Mystery Adventures that you ran for.
Yeah, I liked those.
And finally, Pandemic Legacy Season 2.
Yes, yeah, although we haven't finished yet, so we're still playing that one.
What month are you in?
May.
Okay. Well, that's pretty far.
It's all right.
right.
I'd like to play it more.
Are there any games that came out at Essen that you really liked that were not in your anticipated games?
Meeple Circus. Meeple Circus was I think,
that's
probably
true.
the biggest hit that came out of that's still getting play, especially with my kids.
All right, let's jump over to Suzanne. Suzanne, your number 10 was Harvest Island.
I like Harvest Island. I've only played it once.
All right. What about Noria?
I really enjoyed Noria, but pieces of it ended up being. I was frustrated with some of the little pieces.
That's right. It did have some little pieces. I forgot about that. Ikazu.
I like Ikazu or Kwazu. It's a really great game. The setup is a bear with all these little pieces, but it is a fabulous little Haba game. I like it.
It kind of got no buzz though. You know, I don't hear really anyone talking about it. It's so beautiful though.
It's gorgeous, and the gameplay is really fascinating. You can definitely plan ahead and see how these different tiles are laid out and things like that. It's got a little bit of meat to it. I agree. It didn't get a ton of buzz, which is a shame because it's a solid entry.
All right, Kepler 3042.
Never got it played.
Okay, how about Battlefold?
I like Battlefold. Battlefold's great, and there's another. There's
You sound
Magic
super
Fold.
defensive.
There's Magic Fold this year, and I'm really excited for it.
I liked Battlefold. I think I liked the original one better.
It's a little more straightforward.
Yeah. What about Agra? I'm curious what you thought about that one.
Yeah, me too.
Oh no! I did not get it played. Agra sits unplayed. I've been pulling. I pulled like almost 200 games off my shelf to trade or sell, and Agra hit that pile unplayed. And a friend read the rules, and it just never made it to the table. It was too big, too cumbersome, and we just never made time to get it played. And
Wow.
Mandy and I went to extreme measures to make sure we got copies.
I played mine though.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right. Number 4 was Sorcerer's Stones.
You know what? I have not played the copy I picked up at Essen. I played a prototype version, but not the copy I got at Essen. And it's a lovely game.
Newsfjord.
Newsfjord is a decent Uwe, it doesn't rise to the top of my Uwe pile. There's an expansion coming out. I might try it with the expansion, but it didn't have enough for me. Didn't love it.
All right, Altiplano.
I love Altiplano. Love it, love it, love it, love it. I love it.
Wait, you love it?
Yeah.
I do.
Thank you for that clarifying opinion. All right. And then your number 1 was Riverboat.
Oh, because Kramer Kiesling, right?
Yeah, I guess. I
Yeah.
don't remember what the reasons were.
It's okay. I'm trading it.
Well, folks, as listening, really, you got to take our stuff with a grain of salt because we're really just kind of guessing on a lot of these. I just think it's interesting to go back and talk about them.
No, yeah.
All right, Mandy.
Oh, boy.
You're on the hot seat here. Castles of Burgundy, the dice game.
Played it, and actually played it at Essen, and I've played it multiple times since. I love it.
I just played that one this past weekend.
Did you like it?
How do you?
I did.
But with all the roll and write games, do you think it stands out?
No, it's definitely one that has a bit more going on, and because people are interested in, the board game and the card game, I find that one is a bit more portable and is not as taking up as much room, for example, as the card game. So for me, it actually does stand out, and it does hit the table often.
All right, Petrichor.
Yep, I actually did a playthrough on the Dice Tower Petrichor, and I really enjoyed it. It's a really nice looking game, and I like the elements of the game. I didn't end up buying it, but I did play it.
Did you guys play this at the Dice Tower Live 24 Hours, like in the back room?
We started to learn it, but then I ended up doing I did a live playthrough on the channel of it.
Ah. Okay.
That's why, yeah.
Noria.
Yes, I did, and I enjoyed it, but it was a little fiddly, and I found the rules drove me crazy, but once I got it, I enjoyed it. I liked it.
All right, you also had Kepler 3042.
I played it, and so I liked it. It's one of those ones, if someone pulls it out, I'll play it. I like the fact that it's pretty straightforward, plays fairly quickly, so I liked it. Is it a love? No, but I enjoyed my time playing it.
All right, Santa Maria.
Yeah, so this has some conflict for me. So I actually really enjoy the game mechanics, do not like the theming of this game whatsoever.
Agra. You said you played it, right?
I did. I played it. I was actually quite good at it. It is a heavy game. There's a lot going on. I sold it. It's one of those games. I played it. Great. I got what I needed out of it. Don't need to keep it.
All right, Merlin.
Yeah, Merlin and I we are back in our relationship. So when I first played it, it was like we're just friends. But now I think, okay, we can date now. So it's growing on me. I actually like it.
Well, that's good. They're coming out with an expansion soon,
I
I think.
saw that.
Charterstone.
I played it, and it was okay. I mean, I have to put aside time to play those types of games, and I could have. It was fine. It was all right.
Altiplano.
Love Altiplano so much. It's so good.
All right.
That got a song.
And then your number 1 is Newsfjord.
Oh, Newsfjord, how much I wanted to love thee. It was okay. I mean, I love the whole COD theming, and it was Uwe. I know, I'm sorry. But it was okay for me. I think maybe what Suzanne was saying with the expansion coming out, maybe if I add that piece into it, I might like it a bit better, but it was okay for me.
All right. Well, my number 10 was Zularedo The Duel. I've never played it because Healy grabbed it. I haven't seen it since, and then I just forgot it. I forgot it existed because there's so many games.
We played it, Suzanne, in the hotel room.
We did.
Yeah.
At Essen.
Space Freaks was my number 9, and it's okay. It's, you run around and shoot stuff on a planet. There's just a lot of luck in it.
I agree.
My number 8 was Newsfjord. I'm always not sure where to put the new Rosenberg, and I agree with you guys. This one was fine. I don't think there was nothing about it I disliked, except the feeding the fish to people was a weird concept. But it just was okay. Number 7 was Gaia Project, which I did like more than the game it's based on.
Terra Mystica.
The fantasy one.
Terra Mystica.
But whatever. Gaia Project was fine. Indian Summer was my number 6, and I liked this one quite a bit. I still think I like Cottage Garden the best of this series, but Indian Summer is good. Otis, we got a copy at Essen. I think there was 2 copies there. This was a deep-sea diving game, very, very abstract. I liked it, didn't love it, and man, I haven't seen anyone talk about it at all.
I really like this one.
I liked Otis.
Well, I like it, but I don't know that it's going to feel different on game 3 than it feels on game 1.
Right.
Altiplano, I really like. That was my number 4. I agree with you guys. I love it a lot. I like Orleans better still, but Altiplano is fantastic. My number 3 was Dinosaur Island, which of the games on my list, probably my favorite one that I got from there. Super fun game. Coaster Park from the same company, I was so excited about. It is a decent game, and that is it. And the physics don't work very well. And Justice League Dawn of Heroes, I'm ashamed to say I've not played it because the rules, I was so excited about it, but the rules are such a bear, and the other reviews were so bad.
Wow.
That we were like, oh, man. So it still remains unplayed. You know, my favorite game that came from Essen 2018, I think it was not even on my list. It was on Eric's, Pulsar 2849.
That's a great game.
That game is amazing. But I didn't think much about it when I saw it. I was like, space, Euro, whatever.
Yeah.
But, man, after playing it, I love that game.
Yeah, it's really good.
Did you guys have one that wasn't on your radar that you ended up really liking?
I'm trying to think. Suzanne, I know we had talked about a few, but I'm just off the top of my head, I can't.
Yeah, my brain does not work that way. I cannot remember what specifically. I would have to look at photos of what I brought back to know what I got at Essen.
Well, either way, it was a lot of fun.
Dragon Castle.
Dragon Castle.
True.
Yep,
that was one that none of us were really looking at.
No.
And it stuck out because I think it was the first game we all played.
Yeah.
Or one of the first games.
Exactly.
Yes.
That and Santa Maria. I remember we had copies of both of them, and we were like, we're switching them around and playing them. And, yeah, that was a good way to start the convention. And so I'm kind of looking forward to it this year. So before we get to our top 10s, because that does take a good chunk of this episode, just thought we would talk a little bit about, the convention itself, comparing it to other conventions, what you would do different, what you plan to do differently than last year, and et cetera. So, what is something that, we gave you tips last year. What's something that you would give tips to now that y'all have been there? What tips would you give to other people going?
I try to do as much, game-wise, pre-ordering is always good. I kind of just flew by the seat of my pants, and that's a problem, because then you overspend, as you all saw. And then you have a struggle trying to bring that all back.
Well, have you ever considered, when I used to go to conventions and I was buying all the games that I was bringing back, I would just say, okay, I'm going to spend, I don't know, $400. And that was it. I put that limit on myself, and I'd walk around. If I'd see a game, I'd be like, ooh, is that worthy to fit in the $400 block?
That's what I have to do now. And bring a bag.
What, you mean to cart stuff around?
Yeah, because I find some people have bags for you, some don't. They run out quickly, so I have my little duffel bag that turns into a really big duffel bag, and that will be something I will be carrying with me.
I think for me, there's a lot of tips as I have friends that are going to Essen for the first time and trying to give whatever useful advice I can give. One of the pieces of advice I would give is bring cash, bring euros. I did not realize, even though I think I had been warned, I really did not realize how difficult using charge cards would be at the fair. If the vendor even had a charging machine, there were so many internet and connectivity issues. It was really hit or miss if you could buy the game if you didn't have cash. So I think there's risks with carrying around a bunch of cash too, but this time, and now everybody's going to rob me because now they're going to know I'm carrying a bunch of cash so I can buy my games. Oops.
You're going to have to wait in line to rob Suzanne.
I think they're helping you, right? You're like, oh, they took my money. Well, that was a useful thing. I can't buy as many games.
Not even. I'll find a way. But yeah, I think that would be a big piece of advice I had. Charging is not a really viable option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the cash machines there run out really early.
They limit you. Remember, we had limits. We could only take out so much money a day. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
I would highly recommend Tabletop Together. I cannot recommend this website enough. I know Board Game Geek has constantly made improvements, and we have to give them props because, even Tabletop Together uses Board Game Geek as its main database. But if you go to Tabletop Together, it lists all the games. It tells you if they're demos. You can do some bulk actions, like kick out all the ones in a language that, you pick a language, and if they're not in the language you want So I pick, if it's not in English, I just kicked it off the list. If it was just a demo, I kicked it off the list. And then I go through and I can rank them all. Then you can print this out in order of the hall. So I'm like, okay, here's the list of Hall 1, all the games that are in Hall 1. And it is amazing. You definitely want to use this website. It's so worth it.
It's pretty cool. I've been using it as well, and I think I'm the most prepared that I've been for Essen in years that I can remember. I sort of have an idea of where I want to go, what I want to look at, what I want to explore, and thanks to that, print view, I know what hall everything's in, and it's basically printed in hall order. So you can just work your way from one end of the hall to the other and know if you missed something, because that's really easy to do in the halls in Essen.
How many games are on your list, Eric?
I don't have do I have a full list? It's 11 pages long. But a lot of these are things I just want to learn more about. This is not my purchase list. This is, I want to explore, I want to see this game.
That's really good.
I only have a few things that are like must buys. Even stuff that's on my top 10 list is stuff that I want to explore.
Right.
It's stuff that I want to learn more about. I'm very, very interested in this game, but it's not necessarily a must-buy decision for me yet. Who knows? Talk to me, after I've seen them. But
on the Master
for now,
Dice Tower list, we have 506 games.
Cool.
I don't even know. But I mean, a lot of them are under maybe, I would say a good 300 of them are under that maybe. There's 36 that are like, these are amazing, I'm pretty sure they're amazing. But anyway, if you all get a chance, that's Tabletop Together. They don't sponsor our show or anything. I just think they're fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use it too. It's great.
And someone on Board Game Geek makes maps of the hall too. There's an Essen sub-forum there, and so they said, as of today, as of us recording it, that they have Hall 1 done. I was like, all right, great. And I can't say anything. I can't complain because, they're putting all that together. The one thing also, we always talk about conventions to bring shoes to them, comfortable shoes. And a lot of conventions put down rug. Essen does not.
No, it does not.
So keep that in mind. And there's also not a lot of, there's not a lot of areas to just sit down.
No.
I sit on the floor a lot of Essen, I think, more than any other convention. I'll go eat somewhere. I'm like, well, I guess I'm just going to go sit over there on, on the floor and eat or whatever.
Going to go sit next to this loading door. Yes.
So, I mean, and that's not the end of the world. But for me, and maybe it's not everyone, but for me, I get so tired at Essen. There's so much walking. There's so much going on. And it just seems like you never really stop walking. I guess you could sit down and demo a game, but if you don't do that, you walk, you lunch, you walk, and then you go back to the hotel. And you need to, if you're going to game at night, you got to kind of have that planned. You can't just kind of wander into gaming because it's hard to do.
Right. You need to know where you're going.
And if I may make a recommendation for some stylish yet functional shoes, I highly recommend Geox. They're breathable, fantastic looking, and comfortable.
Oh my gosh.
I've been asked a lot about my shoes, and they're the best ones. They're very expensive, but let me tell you, my feet feel amazing.
I just was at I walked into a store selling shoes with a pair falling off my feet, and I was like, all right, I'll buy a pair. And I got some shoes for only $20, which is usually not a good sign, but they had gel in the bottom of them, like that moldable gel that some things have.
Yeah.
They're the best. I'm going back to buy another pair. And stick them in the closet. Yeah, so when these run out, because normally I wear sneakers. I don't like wearing shoes to conventions because sneakers do a better job at those long walks. But these shoes are amazing. But this is like the biggest deal to me. Have comfortable shoes. If I forget, I need my wallet, my phone, and comfortable shoes. Everything else we can figure out on the fly.
Actually, I'm glad you mentioned this because I need to buy some new shoes. So let's put that on the list.
So, and the place that I mentioned, it's runners. They sell runners.
Yeah, sorry, I always forget that a lot of the world does not call them sneakers.
Oh, sorry, sneakers, tennis shoes, however you want to say.
Well, when I was a kid, I heard people talk about tennis shoes. I was thinking, I don't even play tennis. Why would I buy tennis shoes? It was a very confusing thing. So is there anything else that you're looking forward to at Essen besides the games of which we're about to talk?
Food?
The donor booth.
I'm not arguing that with that.
I really just, it's interesting how different countries and culturally just how social interactions are different. And I had such an incredible time meeting people at the booth last year. And I'm really lucky that I get to go to some of these conventions and hang out and get to meet people who listen to the show and chat with them. And it's just fascinating to meet people from Germany or France or England who listen to the show and play board games. And I'm definitely looking forward to that. It was so much fun. It's something I'll never forget. And to get to do it again this year, I am excited.
It's also our chance to visit with some of the members of the larger Dice Tower family that are based in Europe that we don't get to see if they're not making the journey across the pond to, say, Gen Con or something. This is when we get to see a lot of these folks, which is also very cool.
Yeah, again, it's neat because when I go to Gen Con and Origins and all these cons, we tend to see some of the same people at con after con. You go to Essen, you see people I don't see anywhere else. Mm-hmm. And it's exciting to me. And we always get some people who drop off foods from all over the world, and it's like, wow, I don't know. I'm not fishing for food here, folks.
Yeah, I'm kind of bummed I don't get to eat all the cool chocolate this year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Pity.
Yeah, but you can then you bring it back and give it to your wife.
I can do that? Yes.
And say,
any choices I make in the candy draft this year is going to be solely for my wife's benefit.
I forgot about the draft. That's right. I think we just finished up our stuff from last year. Oh, no. So, I'm trying not to eat as much candy, right? And I'm trying to eat more healthy things. Last year I think we got the reindeer jerky. I don't remember, but so
there was a lot of meat products at one point in the booth.
That's not a problem.
No, it's fine.
All right. Well, people are sitting here. I don't hear about no convention. I'll just hear about games and stuff. All right. Well, let's talk about the games that we're most looking forward to, and then next year we'll come back and tell you we didn't play them.
Hey, I played my whole list. Don't even try it.
It's a Dice Tower Top 10!
The Dice Tower's Top 10 list is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc. Cool Stuff Inc. Cool stuff in stock at coolstuffinc.com.
All right, so here we are with our top 10 anticipated games. Now, for myself, I didn't put any kind of restrictions in everyone else for this list. Otherwise, one of us would have to redo their list. Don't worry, it's not you, Eric or Suzanne. But anyhow, so I put I didn't put any games in my list that I've already played, and I played a lot of the ones that are coming out there. But the other guys that put them on their list usually, so I'll just mention what I think about the games at that point in time. I also didn't put any games that are not being released at Essen, like prototypes. And then finally, I didn't put any expansions on my list because obviously I like an expansion if I like the base game.
Yeah, I think I kept the expansions off and like the re-themes. There's a new Deckscape deck coming, but I already know I like Deckscape. It's, yes.
Oh, there's a reason.
But that's just my list. I'm not criticizing anyone else's list who put a lot of expansions.
I put one! Oh.
You put two.
One too many, Mandy. Now you know.
Apparently.
Don't worry, he'll make fun of us later.
What? No. Yes. Okay.
I'm waiting. I know it's coming.
See, folks, what you don't realize is that I get made fun of before we start the recording.
Oh.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, you know what? That sounded whiny even to my ears. All right, let's get started with number 10.
Number 10.
Let's start with a game called Magnificent Flying Machines. This is from Medusa Games, a publisher I'm not very familiar with. Matthew Combrin and Richard Denning are the designers. It's a game about the golden age of flight, and daredevil pilots, and there's a little bit of pick up and deliver, but there's also repairing and maintaining your plane. You can pick up and deliver stuff, cargo, you can do crazy maneuvers to earn points. it just sounds like an interesting theme and sort of a wacky theme, an approach. So I want to learn more. It's my number 10, Magnificent Flying Machines.
They're the folks who did the Great Fire of London 1666, Nine Worlds, and Richard Denning is actually one of the co-founders of the UK Games Expo.
Oh, cool.
My number 10 is Orbis. So this was designed by Tim Armstrong II. Artist is David Ticello, and it's published by Spaced Cowboys. So to be fair, I did play this once, but my memory is so short, I had to look up gameplay again to give you a description. So it's a tile placement game, and Suzanne, you can help me out if I miss anything here. And you're trying to have, you have a bit of resource management, and in the game, you're playing a god, and you're trying to create your best universe. So there are tiles in the game, and you're trying to place them strategically in order to acquire resources, but also trying to group them in certain ways to gain points. You also have a god tile that you can also lay in the game, which will also acquire more points at the end of the game. It sounds really basic, but I had a really a good time playing it, and it took about 45 minutes, 15 rounds, and most points at the end win. So I really liked it. So I'm looking forward to buying it.
It's really thinky for how few decisions you really make over the game.
It is. I didn't think I was going to like it.
Tiles.
Yeah.
But Space Cowboys almost has like the golden touch. You know, if Space Cowboys makes a game, the worst games they make, I go, nah, those are pretty good. That's like the worst thing I say about their games.
All right. My number 10 is Fuji. And the without a doubt, I saw a name attached to it. I was like, I want it no matter what. And then I read about it and I'm like, no, I don't. And then I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, I do. And that is because the name, it's Wolfgang Warsch. Hello? How could you not? Anything right now, Wolfgang, his name's on it, I want it.
Talk about golden touch. Yeah.
Right?
I mean, Ganshon Clever.
I think we could argue a little bit about that, but continue.
I enjoy every game I've played by Wolfgang Warsch. I have enjoyed The Mind and Ganshon Clever. I just think are delightful games. And Quedlinburg, loved that as well. So Fuji, what made me pause, it's a cooperative game. And I was like, oh, darn, because it's not usually my thing. But then I read about it. You're people going on a hike up Mount Fuji, and you're trying to make it without dying and falling into the lava pits, which
well then.
I think is great. And so it's dice rolling, and you kind of have to roll dice secretly, but you're still working cooperatively, and you have to kind of ascend as you go with the values on your dice. So it's got that thing that Wolfgang does with The Mind, where you're kind of, you just got to get into the groove with each other. And I like how it works in The Mind. I like dice, and the art looks gorgeous on it. So I'm in. That is Fuji.
I hiked Mount Fuji once. It wasn't that hard.
Oh, okay.
I only made it like an eighth the way up, so probably harder when you get higher.
Wow, that's... I climbed Mount Everest, the first 100 feet.
It was easy.
My number 10 is Robin Hood and the Merry Men. Now this, actually, if you look at my video list, which was recorded, I think, 2 weeks before this one, this one was a little higher on that one, but I've learned more information about this one, so it's dropped down to number 10. It's on because I like the theme, I like the graphics, I like the pieces, it has custom dice, I like the Robin Hood theme a lot. I'm really worried, though, because it's categorized as a semi-co-op. And semi-co-ops usually just don't work that well because someone can just say, I'm not going to win, guess what? Neither is anyone else. And that always bugs me, right? Also, it doesn't feel like Robin Hood should be a semi-co-op game. Right? Robin Hood and Little John aren't trying to be the best thief.
Right.
They're working together as a team. They might have some internal squabbles, to some degree, but I don't know. But I do like the idea of being the merry men and, going around and, thwarting the evil Sheriff of Nottingham and such. I like that a lot. So this is hope. This is my hopeful pick. Well, they're all hopeful, but my number 10, Robin Hood and the Merry Men. I think this was a Kickstarter.
Yes, it was. Mistaken. Yeah. Is it the Miko that still did the art on that one? Do you remember?
The artist is Mihailo Dmitrievisk. I apologize.
I think it's the Miko.
There's the person who did the art is the same person who did the art for Architects of the West Kingdom, Raiders of the North Sea.
It's a Miko.
Cavern Tavern. They're like the hottest designer right now. I mean, hottest artist.
They also did Bell Smashers too,
and Viral, and all the Valeria games. Yeah, yeah. Their artwork is that kind. When I see it, I'm like, oh, I know that art.
It's good. It's really good.
Cool.
Number 9.
My number 9, I believe, is the only game to appear on all 4 of our lists. So I will wait and go farming with the rest of the crew then.
Oh, okay. Well, then that swings it over to me with my number 9, which is Deadline. So Deadline is designed by Dan Schnake and Adam West. Artist Tom Babby, Peter Gifford, Glenn Orbick, and the publisher is WizKids. So I'm on this CSI detective kick, so, well, this is no exception. Deduction, murder mystery, there's a bit of set collection. So it's a film noir type game, and it's cooperative, and I think it plays 2 to 4 players, so it's a decent player count. And basically you're a detective, you're using your special abilities, hand management to get some clues, and to solve a mystery. So, sounds like a lot of games that are out now, but I really liked the art is what drew me in, because it's a very retro kind of vibe to it. So I feel like it definitely could be touching on maybe some historical pieces, like in Detective. So this is Deadline. I'm actually looking forward to this one.
Is this a new version of it coming out or something?
It says it was out in 2017, so I've not played it and I wasn't familiar with it, so I'm not sure if it's a new version or if they're just promoting it again. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. I just was looking on Board Game Geek and there's like 316 ratings already, so it must be out somewhere.
Okay, I've just never seen it, so I'm like, oh, this is new for me. So yeah, okay, I didn't realize.
It sounds interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Did you just take a bite of food?
I know, right? It sounds like I'm like...
Sorry, I have a toothpick in my mouth and I'm like flipping it around as I'm talking, like someone who's trying to be cool and they're not.
Wow, that's interesting looking game there you got, Carol.
Sorry.
All right. Well, Eric, you look like you need some help checking out your garden over there. So I'm going to head over there because my number 9 is the same as your number 9, which is higher up on other people's lists.
You bet.
My number 9 has one of the most interesting and unique names of any game ever. Roll for Adventure. But here's why it's on my list. Because it's from Cosmos, and they make pretty good games. Mm-hmm. And the designers are Matthew Dunstan and Brett Gilbert. And I like a lot of the stuff that they do. Also, you are literally rolling for adventure, and I like games with dice and rolling to get things. That's just something that I'm a big fan of. So... there's enemies attacking, and the Dark Lord is bringing darkness across the land, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? So you need to roll dice and somehow... I think it's a cooperative game where you're all fighting back against this. It's not a very long game. It says 30 minutes. I like the artwork on the box and stuff. But it's mostly these guys. Matthew Dunstan's not usually a name that comes to people's minds when we talk about top designers. But I think he's going to be moving up into that arena as time goes by. I mean, he's done some really good stuff like Elysium. The new Monumental is getting a lot of talk about that one. He did the Relic Runners, and Scorpius Freighters, another game that's coming out at Essen that he's done. So, and I don't know. I'm just hoping this one's really good. So that's Roll for Adventure. You know, it sounds like the name of a podcast.
It does.
It does. That would be ROLE for adventure.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Number 8.
My number 8 is from the Gemblow Company, the Korean publisher. It's called Marble Bobsleigh. This is a marble track game, this big square plastic board with these crisscrossing marble tracks, and you have 4 marble launchers that you're firing marbles out, and then there's some trigger that has you pulling your marble, like your main marble that then has to go through the track, and the first one to reach it gets some of the marbles as a prize, and eventually you have to work your opponent's marbles out so that when they fire their little marble cannon, they don't have any marbles. That's as much as I was able to get from the rules, but it looks crazy fun, and my only reservation is I don't know how big and bulky it's going to be. This would be and must purchase because it looks like a blast, but I want to see how giant it is and how well it fits into a box and whether I'm going to be able to get it home. Marble Bobsleigh, my number 8.
This was actually in my short list. I'm a little wary on marble games after last year with the roller coaster game, but if this one looks like a game that might have come out in the 70s, though. With this big plastic board with the marbles. It looks like something I would find at a thrift store, but that doesn't mean it's not super fun.
From the pictures, it looks pretty solid, though, so I don't know.
My number 8, well, here it is, okay? It's an expansion, so it's the...
I was just kidding, everyone.
I know, I'm being silly. So it's the Altiplano expansion, designed by Louis Malls, Stefan Malls, and Rainer Stockhausen. Artist is Clemens Franz and Jeff Oglesby, and the publisher is DLP Games, but it will be published with Renegade Games in North America. So if you're not familiar with Altiplano, it's a bag building game, so it's very similar concept to Orléans, if you've played that. And basically, you have access to resources and goods. There's even like a warehouse where you're trying to build up certain resources in there. Some of the cards you can accomplish to get points. There's a lot happening, and it can be a lengthy game, Altiplano. So what I've been told is that with this game, it gives you, I guess, more accessibility to resources and makes the game a little more interactive with the expansion and new ways to get more wealth as the traveler. In addition, it actually is, from what I've been told, makes the game a little bit shorter. So it maybe tightens up a few things, and the length of the game is decreased with this. So this is the Altiplano expansion.
Cool.
Yeah, this is definitely on my, yes, try it out. I could bring this one back, I think, and hold an auction in my local game group, and it would go, for hundreds of dollars. That's how much Altiplano is played around here.
Really?
You should buy a couple copies.
No. And you know what? Let me make a quick side note here. If you know someone going to Essen, please be thoughtful if you're going to ask them to mule for you, to bring back stuff for you. Because, a lot of people are asking them that, and it's a whole lot more work than you think. When people have done this to me, I have a list of games. I'm like, I got to go over here, and I got to do this, and you're taking up their time and energy and very valuable storage space. Just keep that in mind. That's all.
Well, my number 8 is Ceylon. This is a game based on the concept around the tea industry, and it's got a little bit of set collection and a little bit of area control. It's by the Zinsleys, and I really like what they've done with games before, but basically you're pioneering the tea industry when Ceylon tea was developed, and so you're going out there and you're scoring points for having different tea plantations and districts and meeting all the demands that have been set. I think the box is eye-catching, the board with the different tea tokens and all the different hexes on it and the mapping. It just looks beautiful, and I like the theme, and I like the basic mechanisms of what I'm hearing about, and so I want to take a look at that one. That is Ceylon.
Wait, so this isn't an expansion for Battlestar Galactica?
Wow, that is a really awful joke.
Eric.
I was confused.
Suzanne, I would like to apologize about that joke. I'm sorry.
Thank you for
the
the
just
apology.
Didn't see it. I didn't read it properly.
My number 8 was Eric, and Suzanne's number 9. So we'll wait till Mandy gets to this number.
Number 7.
All right, my number 7 is called Dawn of Peacemakers. This is a war game that's not about war. You're actually trying to prevent war from happening. There's a bunch of factions on the board, and they're battling, but it's a cooperative game, and you are trying to prevent them from battling. It's sort of an animal fantasy theme, so that's somewhat attractive as well. It has me mildly interested, or more than I would be necessarily. So it sounds like an interesting game, worth checking out. Not necessarily a run and purchase unseen, but I want to head there and check it out. I'm actually looking through my list right now, and the problem with organizing it by hall is that you can't. It's not alphabetized. So I'm looking for the publisher on the. Here we go. Snowdale Design is the publisher here, and the designer is Sammy Loxo.
Well,
interesting.
A couple things about this one. You might have played a game of this. Actually, I know you have because I actually played the game with you before from this same universe, the Dale Merchants.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Secondly, all right. This game says it's not about war. It's about stopping war and making peace. And I applaud that. That's fine. I think that's a unique, interesting theme. And the game itself is unique and interesting. The way you make the game have pieces, you have a couple of these units. The game looks like a war game. There's two armies, and they're fighting each other. And you have a couple animals, and you're running around the board, helping the armies fight each other, but making sure the casualties are equal so that they will essentially both be at a low power at the same time and therefore decide this isn't worth it. So what the game is there's this battle that's automatically playing out in the battlefield. You're drawing cards, random, the guys will move around, they'll follow orders, but you are trying to manipulate these decks of cards to make them fight in such a way so that the battle comes to a standstill, which is interesting. It's really cool in theory, and I don't like it at all.
Oh.
Like, at all. Because I feel like I'm watching a game and making some small changes and then watching them play out when I'd rather just play it out myself, if that makes sense. I'm not saying that peace is better than war for sure, but war makes a more interesting game. But it's not really peace. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? You're not really... I don't know. You might like it more than me, but I was underwhelmed, and I really went into it super excited about it.
I'm still going to check it out. You can't stop me.
How would I stop you? Eric, where you going, Eric? What booth? Better not be that booth.
So my number 7 is, well, it's on everyone's list, and that is Reykholt. And this is designed by Uwe Rosenberg. Artist is Clemens Franz and Lucas Sigbon. A publisher is Frosted Games, but it will be published with Renegade Games in North America. So it's a racing worker placement, which is always interesting. And it talks about geothermal energy. So I thought this was kind of interesting. And basically, you're using this energy to cultivate unexpected fruits and vegetables. I think that is the definition that they give it. And so basically you're a farmer and you're trying to make a fortune out of these fruits that you're making, but I think you have to do it quickly due to the tourist season. So I think I covered it all, but I know everyone else has it on their list, so if I missed anything, you can let me know. It's an Uwe game, so of course it's going to be on my list. It has fruit in it, so there's a number 2. It sounds fun, and I mean, mixing geothermal energy and weird fruit and Uwe, I think it can't be anything but awesome. So that's Reykholt.
They had me at unexpected fruits and vegetables.
Fruits and vegetables. Oh, sorry. I forgot the vegetables.
You guys remember New Spirit? We just talked about this.
I know.
Yeah, but Fields of Arla and Caverna, it's Uwe. You gotta.
I agree, and it's on my list. When I was in Iceland, the folks there were super excited because this game is based in Iceland.
Oh, cool.
And they actually use geothermal energy there, so it works. When I look at this, I worry slightly because it looks like it's the same weight as New Spirit and Glass Road.
Okay.
And I kind of long for the next Feast for Odin and Le Havre. Maybe it is, and maybe it's not. Maybe it's great. I don't know. But I would say, at worst, we'll probably say, that was pretty good. So, I mean, that's good enough to put on a list, right? It's not. I don't think it will be bad.
Okay.
Am I being a negative Nancy here? I feel like I am.
No, I don't think so. Because, I mean, New Sword, we all were like, yeah, it's going to be great. It's about cod. And, well, it was fine.
I did not say that.
Oh.
Yeah, I think the cod thing.
Me? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I really think that was you.
Okay.
It's about cod.
Well, we talked last year about Noria and Sophia Wagner's game. And her new game is coming out this year, and it's The Boldest. And I have it at my number 7. I think it sounds fascinating, and I think certainly visually it is stunning. Noria is a beautiful game as well, but The Boldest it looks like it's kind of I don't know if it's sci-fi or if it's post-apocalyptic. There's a lot of robotics involved and things like that. But the art style is just gorgeous by the artist Max Prentice. And it's a programming game. And I love programming games. So it's a lot of hand management and programming. And you've got cards that represent different members of your party, like the chef or the hunter, the scout, what have you. And you're going to put sets of these cards down behind a screen and kind of attempt to program actions. But then you reveal, and whoever has, if Eric, you play chefs and I play chefs, whichever one of us has the most chefs, well, that's the person that actually gets to take the chef action that turn. If nobody else has played the chef, then I get to play the chef, no problem. And you're using these cards primarily to gain more cards so that you can build a stronger party, or out on this board, or maybe it's just tiles. I can't remember if there's an actual board. You're trying to collect these forest tiles that have different points and benefits on them. So it's that hand management, that programming, combined with absolutely stunning art. I am really excited to try it, and that is The Boldest.
This was on my
short list.
Oh.
Yep.
There you go.
This was not on my list, but I'm looking at it, and man, I like that art a lot.
Yeah.
Isn't that just
nice.
gorgeous? Max Prentice is, woo, talent.
This is the only game he's designed, but that name sounds familiar. Has he done other stuff?
Max Prentice?
Yeah.
Well, that's the artist. So this is Sophia Wagner's design.
No.
So,
I know what she's done. I'm talking about the artist. Like, has he done other things like besides board games? It just feels like I've seen his art
Oh yeah,
somewhere.
no. Max Prentice is a really well-known artist who does all sorts of posters and designs and comics and stuff like that. So it's a pretty great get to have Max do art on a game. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. All right, my number 7 is Gingerbread House. Now, I like the theme of Gingerbread House, but this is a Lookout game, and Lookout, I like their stuff. And this is in their lighter arena. This looks like, like Barron Park was last year. But this one's designed by Phil Walker Harding, and I like his stuff a lot. This is another tile-laying game. You're making like a grid, a 3x3 grid. You're building like this little candy house and trying to match different, I don't know, just, you know what? I don't know much more about it than that. You're just making these little rows of tiles and candy and a gingerbread house. This is like the second year I have like a Christmas game I'm like pumped about. But again, I find that Phil Walker Harding tends to take a game and make it extremely simple to play and yet have a lot of depth to it. Imhotep, Sushi Go, Gizmos, his stuff I just like it a lot. So I don't know that I've ever played a game of his I don't like, so that pretty much makes this one an automatic on my top 10.
It was on my radar as well. I think it sounded a little simpler than I was looking for, but there could be a lot of fun.
Number 6.
Number 6 is a new one from Friedemann Friese. It's called Futuropia. It's an economic game. It's a heavier Euro style game about this utopian future where people don't have to work anymore, but they have all these crazy hobbies. And so maybe you really want to have a whole bunch of hobbies, and that's how you're earning points. It's still a competitive game, but you're in this new utopia, new economy that you're building. It just seems like a really fun theme, and I love, engine builders, economic games. It's a hit for me. It's Stronghold Games is picking up, as well as 2F Spiele. Futuropia, my number 6.
So my number 6, I decided to throw something a little different in the mix. So I decided to go with Captains of the Gulf. And this is designed by Jason Dinger, and artist is Harold Liesk, and publisher is Spielworks. So it's an action selection type game where players operate a fishing boat in the Gulf of Mexico, and basically you're trying to make a large profit over 8 turns in the game. So you try to upgrade your fishing boat, add crew members, move out to fish, crabs, oysters, and shrimp, and have them delivered to your ports. So yeah, it really got me with all the fish, but Captains of the Gulf. And it actually is rated as a heavier game. I think it's about a 3 on Board Game Geek.
Well, it's Spielworks, so that's usually the kind of games they make.
Yeah. So it makes me happy.
This one actually looks pretty good.
Not
This
bad,
one wasn't on my radar at all.
Yeah.
So I will...
Thought I'd just try something a little different. I'm like, let's give it a try. And I'm like, ooh, it sounds kind of fun. And it's a heavier game, which is right up my alley. So that is Captains of the Gulf.
I think that's a great choice, Mandy. It was actually on my short list as well, and I follow the designer online and have seen a little bit of this game as it's been developed and the art's been applied and stuff like that. And I've seen a little bit of all the effort and all the development and work that's been going into it. I think I'm really excited to see what you think of it because I think it looks excellent, but it's definitely on that heavier end. So I think it's going to be right up your alley.
Oh, I'm excited.
What number are we on? Number 6. All right. My number 6 is Majolica. Majolica?
Majolica?
Majolica? Ooh, I like that one.
I think so.
Sure.
Which apparently stands for glazed pottery. And this is a game about taking tiles and applying them, which may be reminiscent of Azul, but and even the pieces themselves may look vaguely reminiscent of Azul in that each tile looks like a beautifully painted ceramic tile. But the gameplay is pretty different in that you're taking tiles from a grid and then you're filling them in your workshops. And maybe a workshop has a requirement of 2 pairs or 4 of a kind or something like that. And then when you get the tiles to fulfill your workshop, each workshop is a little different, but then some of them carry over and transfer or get recycled to the workshop next door. So what ends up happening, and I think this is just fascinating, is you get a chaining potential where you can combo. So as you're selecting tiles and building out a workshop, you're not just looking at the workshops that you have individually, but you're looking at them as a chain and how, as you complete ones on the left, how they could potentially flow downstream so that you can combo off of what you fulfill. And I think that sounds intriguing. Plus, the game looks absolutely gorgeous. So that is Majolica.
This one was on my short list. I've been seeing a lot of people talk about it online, and it seems to be garnering a lot of interest. So, and it's pretty.
I'm very excited about this one. I have it at my house, and I don't have the English rules to it, so I can't play it yet. But it does look great.
Yeah, I'm so envious of you right now.
Yeah, me too.
You shouldn't be. Again, I can't play it. I don't have.
But I could.
So maybe we can work together here somehow.
Oh, okay.
It's a co-op.
Yeah.
All right. My number 6 is Troll Fjord. This is a silly-looking game from Zoc. But it's not silly because the game is about trolls, trying to control different areas on the board. And this is done by a little cube tower that you are going to make cubes fall out of by hitting it with a hammer. Okay, so maybe it is
And now
silly.
we know why Tom wants the game.
Yes! Tower. Hammer. I need say nothing else. Really, I mean, I don't know. That does sound fun, though. I like the... Yeah, this is silly, probably. But, okay, also, how about this? I'll throw in this. One of the designers is Christian Amundsen Olsby, and I love his stuff. He is one of my favorite designers. Automania, I think, is such a great game. Doodle City.
Oh, that's the designer of Automania?
Yeah.
Now you have my
last year,
attention.
Santa Maria was one of his games.
I
Escape.
just did
The
a
Curse of the
preview
Temple.
for Rebel Knox for them.
So this one, this one is not... I think a lot of people are going to look at it maybe as a kid-style game, and it's from Zoc. Zoc tends to make their games look light and fun, but I'm telling you, I'm going to like it.
You will, probably.
See, originally I thought that Noose Fjord was to Troll Fjord as Agricola was to Caverna, but that doesn't sound like what's going on here.
It's not?
Okay, thanks for the clarification.
Yep.
Number 5.
My number 5 is on somebody else's list, so I get to hear them try to pronounce it.
All right, I guess that swings it over to me. So my number 5 is Cupcake Empire, and this is actually designed by some local gentlemen that I play games with on occasion, Al Leduc and Yves Tourigny. The artist is Amanda Duarte and David Prieto, and the publisher is Ludonova. So I was a little conflicted about putting this on my list because I had spoken about this game, I think it was maybe a year ago, and the art direction was totally different than what they told me it was going to be. But after some talk, We realized the communication was missing. But let's get to a bit of the gameplay. So it reminds me of like a food chain magnate light, but there's some dice. I know, it's kind of weird. So it's a dice game, and basically you're trying to build your cupcake empire. So it's hard to picture, but you have columns on the board so where you can do your actions, so creating new recipes for cupcakes, you want to open new stores, serve customers, hire workers, and then you have to decide which of these columns you're activating, and then you basically want to take into account the dice that are there, and then how you want to specialize them and how effective you're going to make your action. It sounds super basic, but when you play it, it does actually burn the brain a little bit, even though it is lighter than a food chain magnet. So basically, whoever can build the best cupcake empire will win the game. So there you go, Cupcake Empire, and it looks really great.
I'm in cupcakes. But this better be better than Pie Town.
No, it's different. Like, it definitely is one where you're going like, ooh, there's some thinking here. It's not just about, let's make some cupcakes. No. Like, you actually have to strategize. And even though there's dice in it, it's not super random. I think you would actually really like it.
All right. My number 5 is Neom. Neom, being published by Pearl Games. And it is a tile drafting and city building game. And it's got a little bit of resource collection and management in there. You've got these tiles with different building types, and they operate at different levels, so they kind of get stronger as you level up. And they've got roads on them, which means that there's some road alignment and pathing that you have to plan for, because you can't rotate the tiles. They all have to have their buildings kind of sit upright. And I just like that kind of game. It's along with the tile scoring, there's these cornerstone tiles that you draft at the beginning of the game, and those will actually set your end game scoring. You don't have to play them right away, but you kind of set your strategy or your strategic path early with how you draft these cornerstone games, and that influences how you draft it through the remaining of the game. And the art is by Clemens Franz, but this is a futuristically set game, and I don't often get to see Clemens Franz do art in that setting, and I love Clemens' art in general, so I love that aesthetic element of it. I like seeing that different style, but I like city building games, I like tile placement games, I like pathing games, all of that put together. Pearl Games does a pretty good job with production, so I'm really excited to pick up a copy of Neom.
Yeah, I think this is like one of the themes. You know, we always see themes being repeated over and over. City building is definitely one of those that's out right now. But this game looks great. I mean, Lookout always makes your stuff look great, but I'm pretty pumped about this one myself. My number 5 is higher on someone else's list, so we will just not talk about it till then.
Number 4.
My number 4 is another Freedom and Freeze game. It's called Fine Sand. It's being described as a deck deconstruction game. It's about building sandcastles, and everybody starts with a starting deck, and it has some good materials for building your sandcastle and some bad materials. There's a mechanic where you slough off stuff you don't want to the player next to you, who then has to deal with it in some way. There's also, this is the next game in the Fable system, sort of like Fabled Fruit, where each player can play sort of a campaign deck that they will each work through and get more materials for their sandcastles. I don't know more beyond that. I did look at the rules, but it seems to be the usual whimsy that you get from a Freedom and Freeze game. But without seeing the materials in front of me, I couldn't quite get more from that. But it's also sort of simultaneous action. Everybody takes their turn at once. It's not like real time, slap your cards down real quick, but everybody takes their turn and then signals when they're ready to move on to the next turn, which seems kind of cool. Fine Sand, I'm very excited about. It's my number 4.
Is it a mean game, Eric?
I don't know. I think it sounds like it, because you're going to be getting rid of cards, but then there's a way to, of course, deal with that junk that you get. Everyone's going to be getting it from the person to their right or their left.
So they may give you not so nice things. Okay.
Yeah.
So my number 4, we couldn't forget about my favorite designer, Carpe Diem, which is designed by Stefan Feld. And the artist is Lalanda Rushka, and the publisher is Aaliyah. There wasn't a lot of information. I just know it's card drafting, a bit of tile placement, and Basically, the setting is in ancient Rome, so I don't think that's much of a surprise. And you're basically trying to build a district and score as many points as possible with the use of these cards. And that's as far as I've gotten. So if anybody else has information, great. It's a fell, so it was going to make my list. So I at least want to try it to see if I want to add it to my collection. So that is Carpe Diem.
Seize it.
Oh, I will.
Oh, my goodness. My number 4 is Passing Through Petra. And this one borders on a cheat, but we'll see what Tom says. This is coming from Renegade Games. It's designed by Jane Alex Cavern, who does amazing game. I am a big fan of their design. And the reason why this is kind of a cheat is I got to play a prototype of this game, I think, like 2 years ago. And I got to play test Passing Through Petra at the same time I got to play test Castell. And in a weekend of a lot of game playing, Castell and Passing Through Petra were the two games that just rocketed to the top of the experience. And Castell, now that it's published, I adore that game. It's one of my all-time favorites. And I'm telling you, Passing Through Petra was just a fabulous game. A little bit more complex for compared to maybe some of Alex's previous designs. You've got a couple of unique things. So there's a really neat board element where they create a channel for tiles to slide through. And this is like your caravan coming in. And as the caravan slides in, these tiles slide down this channel that's been created on the board, and you have access to the first 5 or 6 of the tiles freely, and then there's mechanisms to get further down the chain. But it's great when boards have something unique or quirky to them, and so Passing Through Petra definitely has that. But what I really, really love about the game is your player board, because as you're collecting these tiles, you've got this little player board, and you're lining them up under your player board in the order that you get them, and you have a similar sliding mechanism happening there. So as you get tiles, they push in from the left, and they push tiles off to the right, and then the tiles that come off the right, they get moved to the top of your player board, and you're kind of filling in these resources that when you take a specific action, you can convert those into points. And the amount of planning and foresight that you can get as you see the tiles that are available in the caravan, as you see what you've got in your board, because once you trade in some of those, you're putting out workers on your board too, or markers on your board that blocks that off until you take an action to call them back. And on that common board, there's this grid, and the actions that you take depend on what direction you move your pawn in that grid. So it's a 3x3 square. And so if you move it west, you get that direction. If you move east, it's that direction. Well, if you move west and you're at the west side of the board, you can't move west anymore. So what do you have to do if you need that action more than once? You have to plan ahead to figure out how you're manipulating in that little grid as well. So a ton of stuff that you can plan for in this game, and some really cool mechanisms. I am so excited for the final edition of Passing Through Petra.
This was on my short list as well. Looks really interesting.
Yeah, I'm really interested in it also. My number 4 is U-Boot. U-Boot was a game that was on Kickstarter, I want to say maybe last year. I'm not sure.
I covered it.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, this one I'm really excited about because it's a cooperative game from Phalanx, but it looks like a heavier style cooperative game where you're all in a submarine that's sinking, or not sinking, but you're just all in a submarine. And you're dealing with that, but the submarine is an actual 3D built submarine in the middle of the table. And there's charts and graphs, so it has a little bit maybe of that Captain Sonar feel to it. I don't know, I just like that idea a lot. I hope it's not too complicated, because it looks like it could be maybe. And Phalanx makes some heavy games, but man, I like the theme. I like the idea of a submarine, and just cooperative games are something I'm excited about. There doesn't seem to be as many cooperative games this year as there has been in the past. So this one has me interested. U-Boot, the board game.
I almost backed this one, actually, and I was kind of going back and forth. I'm like, is it going to be too busy, too much? But I don't know, now you're talking about it, and I think I need to try it.
Number 3.
Number 3 for me, Tom just talked about last week, and that is Dice Settlers from NSKN Games.
So
David Turchsey. Tom said I would like it, so I put it on the list.
All right.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah, pretty much. No, I mean, it's got dice. I'm interested in resource management, exploration. It just all sounds like stuff I'm interested in.
I think you'll like it. I backed it. I played it last week. It's good.
Yeah, this really meets a lot of my criteria. Just drafting dice and then using the dice in different ways to get points. And I really had a good time with it. I think this game is going to do pretty well, actually.
Oh, I agree. But are they going to fix the pieces?
What do you mean by fix them?
So I backed it. So I got the, I don't know if the deluxe, I think it came with the specific one I ordered, but the purple, basically all the pieces that are the plastic for the little tents, the red is the right size. Everything else is not meant to be that big.
I got ordinary, boring, regular version, so I wouldn't know. That sounds like a first world problem. My deluxe version is not perfect.
It's just when you're trying to place them, the tiles are not necessarily big enough. So.
Oh yeah, they're just little cubes. And I was wondering, we were playing, and I said these are called tents. They're only cubes. Maybe the Kickstarter version actually has tents. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's 2 bits. Okay, so we are at number 3 for me, Caverna the Forgotten Folk. So, yeah, this is a little bit of a cheat because it's an expansion, but it's an expansion to one of my favorite games ever. So, if you're familiar with...
Holler!
I've never paid Agricola, so I just bypassed it altogether and went to Caverna. So... this is an expansion to that. I didn't realize that this was actually, I guess, a fan or somebody who was a fan of the game had made it and posted it on BGG, and now they've decided to actually go ahead and publish it. So it's designed by Uwe Rosenberg, Alex Wilbur. Artist is Javier Gonzalez Cava and Clemens Franz, and it's published by Lookout Games. So it's tile placement, worker placement, and like I said before, it was a fan project, but basically, the Forgotten Folk, you get 8 different species or race packs. So you've got your elves, dark elves, trolls, and so forth. And now players can be one of these species instead of just the dwarves in the game. And each of them has their own advantages or disadvantages, and also introducing some new resources into the game. And then they also have unique rooms, and you can replace these rooms with some of the rooms that are in the base game. And basically allows players to get the powers of these species. So basically it's just another element that you can add. So that is the Caverna the Forgotten Folk, the expansion to Caverna. I am excited.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped about this. You know, he told me a few years ago that there would never be an expansion.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that.
So the way around that is obviously just have a fan design it.
Well, that works.
My number 3 was also Tom's number 5, and this is Blackout Hong Kong, coming from Spiele. And it's an Alexander Pfister game.
Ooh.
Which... exactly. It instantly got my attention with that designer name. Tom, interested to know what you're interested in, but it's looks fairly complex. It's got some pool building going on with some hand management. You've got dice. And as I was reading all about it, there's area control. There's, I don't know, there's a lot going on. And I love the more modern setting because, you know, Alexander Pfister's done games in different settings, Westerns and the kind of the classical settings. I really like the modern setting concept here, where you're dealing with a blackout in Hong Kong. So I am rushing the booth for this one, and that is Blackout Hong Kong. What about it for you, Tom? Kind of drew you to it?
Well, it's 2 things, and you mentioned both of them. One, it's Alexander Pfister, and the other is the modern theme. Okay, I don't have time to go into my rant about why we seem to be stuck in 1600 themes. I like modern themes. I think that's a cool idea. And this idea of a blackout and the board is black. I mean, the decor of this and graphics of this game look really neat. And the idea of just keeping the everything under control, why there's a blackout. But also, it's Spiele. And right now, Spiele is hot. I mean, Coimbra... the new Camel Up is gorgeous. The Plan B can do no wrong for me right now. Their stuff is just unbelievable, and so I'm really pumped about that.
I agree. This sounds really neat, and the designer and the pedigree of the publisher had my attention. I do think it's a little bit of thematic mismatch that it sounded like a co-op when I first read the description, and they sent out the press release, and I was like, "Ooh, Fister," and it's a co-op, but it actually isn't. This is a competitive game, and so I don't quite understand if you're all trying to help the Hong Kong Blackout why you're competing for points. So maybe that's just me. It just sounded co-op-y to me, and so I was turned off a little bit by that, and so it slipped a few notches down on my list.
I completely missed it, so now I have to add it. It's Alexander Pfister, so I at least have to take a look at it.
Yeah.
All right, my number 3 is Alone. This game was kickstarted earlier this year, and in this game, there is a hero who is going through a dungeon crawl, sci-fi, survival horror type game, against 1 to 3 evil masterminds. So if you play a 4-player game, there's 3 dungeon masters against 1 hero.
Wow.
I like that idea. That's really interesting. There's I think there's 3 shields, and everyone's working against you. I don't know if the game's good or not, but it's designed. One of the designers is Lorenzo Silva, who's done some pretty good stuff in the past as a Dragon Castle that came out last year. So, and then the other one's Andrea Crespi, who's one of the designers of Potion Explosion. So, I hope this is great. I think the theme is unique and entertaining. 3 versus 1. Usually the one person's the powerful one, right? So, I don't know. Alone, my number 3.
I looked at this one. One against many, or those types of games, I always kind of go, they never work out well for me. But this one seems interesting, and you're right. Just the fact that it's the designers that I'm familiar with, and I like their work, I think it could potentially be really good.
All right, so that's my number 3. Let's now move into boring and predictable games.
Number 2.
My number 2 is number 2 because Tom told me that I couldn't put anything that began with P in the number 1 slot, and that's Pandemic, The Fall
Did I
of
say
Rome.
that?
You did. You said last week that I wasn't allowed to do that. Actually, this wasn't on my list until, I believe, today when we recorded this. I checked the list again because games keep getting added, and some will get added after we've recorded this. But I didn't think this would be here because I thought it would premiere at the Pandemic World Championships, which happened after Essen this year. And nope, they're going to have it, so it's on the list. This is the new historical variant from Matt Leacock and Paolo Mori. The diseases are invading armies in Italy, and you're having to fight them off. And it's a little bit like Pandemic Legacy Season 2, where you are giving supplies or militia to the zones that are being attacked, and if there aren't any militia there, that's when things start to get bad for you. So you have to sort of keep the stock up. But a new variant, a new system for Pandemic, I'm all in. Number 2, Pandemic, Fall of Rome.
My number 2 is definitely on a few lists, and that is Teotihuacan, City of Gods. And this is designed by Danielle Tascini and David Turksi. Artist is Odysseus Stamoglau, and the publisher is NSKN Games. So I did play this with Suzanne at Dice Tower Con. We got a little taste of it, and it's good. So in Teotihuacan, each player, you have a force of worker dice. So these are what you're going to deploy onto the board. And basically throughout the game, they can increase in strength every time you move them. So it's a modular board, and you choose one of the tiers of the location tile you land on, offering as an action, so basically and a worker upgrade, and then the other providing you with a bonus, but you don't get an upgrade on that die. So you're trying to manage your workforce and resources and develop your new technologies, and you're also trying to build up temples, which are another great way to get points, as well as building houses. And this all takes place in the Pyramid of the Sun, which is really fun. So the game is played in 3 eras. It generally runs to, I think, 90 to 120 minutes, and the player with the most fame at the end of the game is the winner. I had a bit of a struggle catching on to some of the nuances of the game. I didn't find it overly intuitive, but as it progressed, you definitely picked it up. But still, it's one that I would definitely like to play again, if not purchase. So that's Teotihuacan, City of Gods.
This was my number 5. I'm apparently the only one of the 4 of us that hasn't played it yet. But I think I peered over your shoulder while you were playing this at Dice Tower Con. It looks lovely. I like the using the dice as your workers and upgrading them as you go. I think Tom said there's an ascension mechanism. Like once you get past 6, you have them reborn, and there's some mechanism there. It all looks like it pushes a lot of the buttons that I enjoy, and I'm excited to play it.
Excellent game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the only reason why I didn't make my list and make my list in a very high position is because I've played essentially a final version of the game, but I totally concur that it's awesome. My number 2, and I could have cheated. I thought about making my entire top 10 roll and write games. I really did.
You should have.
I would have called you out on that nonsense.
Exactly. And, it's never a good day when Tom yells at you. So
No.
I held back. I restrained myself, but I could have. If you're a fan of the format, this is a great Essen. Tom, you were mentioning there weren't a lot of cooperative games. I agree. I noticed that. I don't typically care for cooperative games, so I don't mind that. But if you're a fan of roll and write games, this is a great Essen.
This is your year. There's a lot that came out this year in general.
For reals. And I to not cheat, I picked 1, but I have 10 that I have on my must-have list.
Me too.
And
Me too.
The only reason why I don't have more is because I already own the other ones through some mean or measure. So that's that. But the one that rose to the top is Bricks. And Bricks rose to the top because it's designed by Wolfgang Warsch, and it uses polyominoes.
Oh,
and it's a roll and write game. You're throwing too many things together in one package that I absolutely adore. So you're rolling dice. The dice dictate kind of the polyomino or Tetris shape that you have to draw. And it's kind of like a Blackout game where you have a board and you're trying to fill it in first, basically. Wolfgang Warsch is I total faith in their ability to design for this format. I am stoked. Early plays of Bricks that I've seen online make it look fabulous. But along with that, Big Dig, Nap Danabin, Once Upon a Castle, Quantum, Tag City, Tetrix, X-Ganshawn, Niflin, Rolling Ranch, The Tramways Engineers Workbook, Welcome to Dino World, Sunflower Valley, Pen and Papers 1, 2, and 3, Pank, and Roll to the Top are all available at Essen, as well as Roading.
Too.
So,
Some good ones.
get them all, folks.
You're going to have to make a new bin just for this new wave of roll and writes.
I have no problems doing that.
All right. My number 2, I almost had to take it off the list because it's like sitting on my shelf, but I still haven't played it, and that's Chronicles of Crime. Chronicles of Crime is a game from Lucky Duck Games, and I'm pretty pumped about this one because it uses the app. It's like a solve a mystery. Z's played it, says it's really good. I'm looking forward to it. There's only one thing I'm a little concerned about it. I have the game, and so I loaded up the app and looked at the app, and there was a tutorial thing, and then there was like 3 missions, and then there was 2 more missions or modules or whatever they are, and they each cost $5.
Oh.
And then I was thinking, well, maybe that's not a bad idea, because if it's like an escape room style game, $5 for a new game is definitely worth it, right? I think so.
Okay.
But I have to wait and see and play the game first. Maybe each of these missions is also replayable. Don't know. But I like the idea of using the app and solving a mystery together cooperatively, and I've heard nothing but good from people who've played it. So that's Chronicles of Crime.
On the bright side, though, that means you don't have to wait for expansion content. You can just buy it right off the bat, and it's cheaper than most expansions would be.
Yes.
Speaking as somebody who's played both the tutorial and the first mission, it's an amazing experience. The technology works seamlessly with the QR codes and the clue cards, and the VR is incredibly cool. I literally had a gasp out loud moment using it when I played it. I haven't looked into the pay structure of the app. I'm actually a little surprised to hear that the extra ones have an app cost. If that means it's an app cost for the components that come in the base box, I'm probably totally fine with it. To your point, Eric, it's a cheaper and faster way to get expansion content. There's also boxed expansions with different settings and different cardboard components. If it's somehow linked to that, I would be confused. But I'm really looking forward to hear what you think about Chronicles of Crime, because I find it to be an amazing game experience.
Let's compare notes, Tom, because I just got it today, and I'm going through Detective right now, which I love. So I'm curious to see how this compares.
Sure, but Detective is extremely heavy and long and involved, and while I like it, I don't always have the time to bring that out. I'm hoping this will scratch the itch and just be easier.
Got it.
This was on my short list as well, so I'm excited to hear what you think.
And finally, number 1.
All right, number 1 for me. This is still one I'm very, very excited about, despite all the pandemic craziness. Holding On, The Troubled Life of Billy Kerr. This is from Hub Games. I think this is one of their first... No, they've had a couple of projects that don't use the Rory's Story cubes, but this is maybe their biggest game that doesn't use the cubes. It's from Michael Fox, from Little Metal Dog fame, and Rory O'Connor. It is a cooperative game about end-of-life caregivers trying to unlock the memories of this patient while still maintaining his vitals and everything. But you have sort of this overarching mission where you're learning about his life and uncovering these foggy memory cards. I have not yet played it, but everybody I've talked to that has really enjoyed it. Just a lot of good buzz here, and I think it's a fascinating theme, one I've been dying to play for a while, and hopefully I'll finally get my hands on a copy at Essen. My number 1, Holding On.
I've seen it all over social media. How many players is this one, Eric? Do you know?
1 to 4.
1 to 4. Okay, so you can't play it solo.
Yeah, this one is an interesting one. I played it once, and I had so many questions that I'm needing to watch the Rodney Smith video playthrough before, because I don't want to make any kind of judgments. Definitely kind of an experiential game. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping that the game is good. I'm not feeling it so far, but I could be playing it wrong. So that may be it.
So my number 1, super cliche for me, but yes, it is a Stefan Feld game, Forum Trajanum. And this is by Stefan Feld. Art is by Michael Menzel, and it's published by Hutch. And in this game, players govern a colonia, which is founded by the Trajan, and is basically the head of the highest ranking cities in, well, where else? In the Roman Empire. So players are trying to develop their own colonia, obviously as optimally as possible, and you don't want to end up supporting the emperor's building at the same time. And the players most successful in doing this, after the expiry of their office, will be admitted to the, as they state on the page, small circle of illustrious and mighty personalities surrounding the emperor. So this is very Stefan Feld-esque. I mean, it even has Trajan in the title, and it takes place in Roman Empire. So that's as much as I know about the game. Forum Trajanum. It's a Feld, so I mean, it definitely looks like some things that I would enjoy. So that's my number 1.
One of my favorite things about going to Essen is I can get games that are difficult for me to get here in the United States. And I get to see a lot of Asian publishers that I'm a big fan of attend Essen when they don't attend certain American conventions. Certain smaller European publishers are there as well. And one of the things I definitely do when I'm prioritizing how I spend my time and money is I'm seeking out things that I'm not sure I'll be able to get otherwise, things that are unique or are hard to get. And so my number 1 is a game called Airship City. And this is by Analog Lunchbox, which has quickly become one of my favorite Asian publishers. They do really interesting, slightly heavier games in general. They recently had a game picked up by Pandasaurus called Pistali. Pistali is a gorgeous tile laying game. It looks very simple, but it's deceptive. It's a real brain burner. So Airship City is an Analog Lunchbox. When I saw the picture, when I saw the publisher, I was instantly knew I had to have it. This is going to be a heavier game. It runs up to 120 minutes, and it only plays 3 to 4. But it's got a fabulous theme about creating this sky city using airships. You've got these tiles where you're getting resources and contracts. You're building airships. You're building utilities. You're donating airships to kind of gain future efficiencies and be able to hire workers and improve your airship kind of production. And then you're doing all this in I think a 4x4 grid of action tiles. But one of the things you can do, there's a few different actions that actually let you slide those tiles and rotate them around, shifting that 4x4 grid, changing the pathing for the actions that you can get as you're moving your player pawn to select different actions. I think it sounds just fascinating. That action selection sounds absolutely intriguing. And if you were to look at this game online, it is beautiful. It's got this lighter color palette, almost a pastel color palette, with just really cool art for all the buildings and all of the airships. I cannot wait to get it. I've pre-ordered it. I did not want to risk not getting a copy. That is my number one, Airship City.
Like I said, lots of different games with the word city in them. My number one is also cities, underwater cities. Not hearing a lot of people talk about this one, but it's Vladimir Suchy. And Pulsar 2849 and Shipyard and, oh man, and Last Will. I like his stuff. And this looks like a big Euro game as you're building these underwater cities and connecting them and getting cards and all this stuff. Oh, I don't know. It looks like it could be awesome. It's from Delicious Games, which is a great name for a company. I don't know if this is their first game, their only game. I don't know, but I'm definitely intrigued with this one. The weight is a high weight, but I like city building. I like underwater city building. Okay, I'm just kidding. I don't think I've played a game with that, but it's mostly Vladimir Suchy. And like I said, I wish I'd put Pulsar 2849 on my list last year because that game so blew me away.
Yeah, sounds good, this one. I mean, same designer, so it must be fantastic.
All right, so what did you guys say for your top 10? Number 10 was an expansion, just like Mandy. Seven Wonders Armada. What? They're backing you up.
I love it.
Yeah, I played this earlier this year, Seven Wonders Armada, so it adds some new interesting things to do over the course of the game. Number 9 is Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig. 8, Detective.
Woo!
7, Reichhold. That's going to be, if it's a Rosenberg game, it's going to be on the top 10.
Sure.
6, Everdell. That came out at Gen Con, but probably, I think it's being released at Essen in Europe. 5, Newton. That also came out at Gen Con, but I think there's like a total of 100 copies.
So good.
Yeah, this one's like this is a points out game, but it's pretty fun. 4, Chronicles of Crime. 3, Treasure Island, which I didn't put on my list because I've already played it, so that's a lot of fun. 2, Architects of the West Kingdom. This is such a good worker placement game. And number 1, Teotihuacan.
Everyone has good taste.
Did I mess that up, Eric?
Yes.
Eric, yes.
But I feel like I was kind of close. I listened to the pronunciation guide on this. I know it's con at the end for sure.
Yeah, it's the hua that you're not quite getting. Teotihuacan.
You know what? The people from that city can come yell at me.
Wow.
No, I'm just not. It's a hard name to say. Okay.
Okay.
Essen. Well, do I ever criticize you? Don't answer that. Let's continue. Hey, I cannot emphasize enough, folks. We like to say hi to you. Please say hi to us every year. Someone says, I saw them, but I didn't want to bother them. If you see us carrying a stack of games, fine. But otherwise, if we're at the booth, that's why we're there. Come say hi. We'll have some promos and things at the booth. But you can just come by and say hello to us. We'd love to see you and talk to you. We look forward to this a lot for that reason. Dice Tower Con is this coming July. Registration for that is tomorrow.
What?
No, it's today. I'm sorry. This is the show that comes out on Tuesday. So stop this video and go register.
Yeah, future Eric here. Tom's a little confused. 1, this is not a video, it's an audio podcast. And 2, registration for Dice Tower Con is Wednesday. That's tomorrow if you're listening to this episode right away. Wednesday, the 17th of October at 12 Eastern. So be ready. but it's not quite as early as Tom thought it was. All right.
I hope you didn't miss it.
Yeah.
If you did, it's my fault for not mentioning it earlier in the episode.
It's our fault for talking too long.
Oh.
I really hope that doesn't happen. I listened to the whole show, and then I was too late to register. That would be an awful story. All right. But anyway, Dice Tower Con, it's super fun. We all were there last year. We're all hoping to be there this year. Check it out at dicetowercon.com. Anything else? Other than that, I think we might be done.
I'm psyched.
That's
the
it.
longest top 10 we've done in a long time.
But it was fun. It was a fun top 10.
All righty. Well, folks, we'll see you in a week. If you're not Essen, no big deal. We'll be back after that with lots of stuff. Don't forget, we're taking a week off to, well, not really, but behind it. But you will have a week off, but we're still behind the scenes doing a lot of different things. And then we'll be back with our show from Essen in 2 weeks. Until then, though, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Suzanne Sheldon.
I'm Andy Hutchinson.
And I'm Eric Summerer.
And you've been listening to The Dice Tower.
Thanks for listening. Promotional consideration has been provided by game publishers in the form of review copies of games. This episode, number 577, was recorded on October 11th, 2018. We'll be taking next week off for travel and preparation, but we'll all be back in 2 weeks for our live show from Germany. Support for this podcast comes from listeners like you. Thank you for spreading the word. And speaking of support, the Jack Vassell Memorial Fund is dedicated to providing support to members of the board gaming community in their hour of need. Find out more about the fund's mission and how you can help at jackvassell.org. The Dice Tower is produced by Tom, Mandy, Suzanne, and Eric, with production assistance from Itai Perez, Derek Porter, and Rob Searing. Our theme was composed by Timothy Pinkham. Fear of large bearded men in red suits coming down your chimney provided by Saint Nyctophobia. And hosting is provided by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games at great prices at CoolStuffInc.com. We love feedback. Visit the Dice Tower Guild at BoardGameGeek.com, email us at Dicetower@gmail.com, or follow us on Facebook. And of course, you can find more from the Dice Tower Network, including the Out of Game podcast, Board Game Design Lab, the D6 Generation, the Family Gamers, Blue Peg, Pink Peg, the Portal Gaming Podcast, Every Night is Game Night, and Board Game Breakfast at DicetowerNetwork.com. Until next time, from all the gang at the Dice Tower, have fun gaming. You know, the whole time that Suzanne was talking about her number one, I was going, Airship City. Airship City on rock. Sorry, it's just stuck in my head.
Clouds and air.
There you go.
Oh, boy.
Wow, the jokes today.
Yeah, I'm saucy tonight. I don't know what's going on.
No, it's good. Yeah, I'm pretty tame compared to all of you.
All right, that's a wrap.
Boop, yay.
Finally.